Ooh. Dang, I gotta edit this. I didn't do my whole thing where I put the I didn't do my whole thing where I put the whatchamacallit in right, like the title and everything. Fuck it though. Welcome to Guarantee News on a Monday, beginning of the week. I'm your host, Garrett Sims. We're gonna get right to it. This is gonna be like every episode of Guarantee News you guys have seen. So that means we're gonna start off with a couple K-Ferg 500 songs. Last week was pretty good. I filmed on Monday and Wednesday. I didn't film Friday. That Friday night stream just gets harder and harder. So a part of me is thinking maybe I should just say Monday and Friday and then at least 3 times a week. I don't know. I'm figuring it out, but all right, let's do this song first. We got the ads every time. The ads have to come.
Data and AI for businesses are
Pause. All right, let's get this playing.
Bitch ain't worth a dime, that's probably why she. Bitch ain't worth a dime, that's probably why she penny pinching. Nigga, I could die right now, yo bitch gon' treat you like Will Smith. Nigga, I ain't worried about none, my white boy shoot like Rick Smith. I'm fresh as it gets, and your little bitch won't peel me out this Rick Smith. God forgive me, know they truly filled with envy, I don't blame. Need a halftime show like Usher Raymond. I'm on half of a cup with a walk chaser.
Let me check this. Yeah, that sounds way better. Okay. My sound fucked up for a little bit. All right, let's go.
That's probably why she penny pinching. Nigga, I could die right now, yo bitch gon' treat you like Will Smith. Nigga, I ain't worried about none, my white boy shoot like Rick Smith. I'm fresh as it gets, and your little bitch won't peel me out this Rick Smith. God forgive me, know they truly filled with envy, I don't blame. Need a halftime show like Usher Raymond. I'm on half of a cup with a walk chaser. I can't even stand these niggas, I wouldn't tell no lie. I'm trying to get high, I'm finna pour this deuce when I get in so far. Yeah. AFW ain't fucking with me. I'm so popped I can pop a wheel. Niggas fan do bump tryna hit a ticket. My price can't drop the ticket. Yo bitch, our bitch, these bossy trippin'. Her pops was missing, and I was tryna get her a man, but she can't even keep her a nigga. Baby, I'm winning. I'm out there out with my niggas, and we on the route to the millions. She choosing niggas that got a little motion, cause she know I don't do shit for attention. Spend a little money and burger the last name that nigga gon' ever mention. Honestly, I had love for her, but I love Lil Waukesha more. I do. How the walk be giving me growth. I know little bitch so bad I get geek whenever she posts. Yeah, if he can head a little more, I told him we up in the scope. Yeah, I told him we done when I say it. Baddest ones be in and out the club. I wonder who gon' say. Got my girl in the store, she done spent like 2K. She passed out 20 francs with capital jeans, my pants from Shibuya. You know I can't do nothing basic. Show these niggas how to run it up. This my little course, my demonstration. Make your move, and once you make your move, don't move with hesitation. Show me love, ain't got no option. She took our promise. Outside with the crooks and robbers. I got OG still on Colin. Call me if you got a problem. I'll pop my shit in designer. Bitch, we don't need no AP, cause all our shit is perfect timing. Bitch ain't worth a dime, that's probably why she penny pinching. Nigga, I could die right now, yo bitch gon' treat you like Will Smith. Nigga, I ain't worried about none, my white boy shoot like Rick Smith. I'm fresh as it gets, and your little bitch won't peel me out this Rick Fizz. God forgive me, know they truly filled with envy, I don't blame. Need a halftime show like Usher Raymond. I'm on half of a cup with a walk chaser. I can't even stand these niggas, I wouldn't tell no lie. I'm tryna get high, I'm finna pour this deuce when I get in so far. AFW ain't fucking with me.
All right, last song, and then we're gonna get to the show. K-Ferg 500. This is How by K-Ferg 500, and then we're gonna get to it.
Boy, you smoking on that same shit that got Chris Rock. I cocaine with a drum, this bitch sound like Kid Rock. Make these niggas go and copy this, them niggas Xerox. I can move, we still on his ass, we got him gridlocked. One bitch, I ain't picky, fuck me till I'm dizzy. My bitch catch another op, she gon' get some new Rickies. RIP my young boy, that shit still got me pissy. My nephew won't even play my ops, he said it sound too kitty. Bitch want me to fuck with her, but she be acting ditzy. He thought it was clean, I'm still serving cut, no kizzy. Full of looking clean as hell, can't forget that blicky. Chop it shoot like Jimmy, I ain't even had no semi. Every beat shit automatic, supercharged like Hemi. Told my little bitch walkie only, she can keep that Henny. Virgo, he got Trump money, gave myself a stimmy. Told my bitch don't want hibachi, she can keep the bennies. Get them chopped like sushi rolls, play them hoes like movie roles. That boy, he got baby money, bankroll like a 2-year-old. This bitch know she fine as hell, came through built like Ruby Rose. 100K times 10, nigga, I'm gon' need a few of those. Pint of red, it look like a bottle of some hot sauce. All these sticks, thought that we was finna go to Top Golf. Treat him like a thigh shirt, get that nigga cropped off. He said he gon' touch me, see how ain't shit popped off. LOL, hi, I know folks don't like me. Pushing off these pussy niggas really do excite me. Shawty know I'm rude as hell, but somehow she still like me. She know I ain't pussy and ain't that nigga like me.
About to say, I thought that was me breathing. I was about to say, damn. All right, welcome to Guaranteed News on Monday, June 17th, 2024. I am your host, Garrett Sims. This is going to be Guaranteed News, how you guys are used to it. We're going to do covering hard news, pause, which is news that's world news, American news, just news that's important and serious. We're going to do sports news, which is obvious. We're going to do show and entertainment news, which is going to be the best it's been in like the last couple of weeks of Guaranteed News for sure. And then we do entertainment news. And the good thing about today's episode is for the first time in a while, we have a story for everything. We're going to go over Complex rated the funniest people online, and they made a list, so we're going to go over that. Caitlin Clark and The Fever played Angel Reese in the Sky. The Fever won, but what would it be without a little bit of drama? So we're going to go over that. What else? House of Dragon, The Boys. A lot of stuff has been going on. It's the middle of the summer. Shows are coming back. The finals is ending. A lot's going on. It's hot as hell everywhere. But for today, with our first story, we are going to start off with an update on the Israel-Hamas war. So earlier today, do you guys know what I just did? All right, I'm fucking my shit up. Damn. Ho, 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 ho. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea what I just did. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can get the stack right. Damn, what the fuck? Why did I fuck my computer up? Okay, there we go. Right? And then if I just put this in. Damn, that just fucked me up. Shit, that was crazy. Damn, my bad, y'all. Shit. My computer just fucked up. I felt like I was like a boomer or something for a second. All right. So today, Time released an article saying that the Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dissolved Israel's war cabinet on Monday after two key members quit last week amid disagreement over the direction of the war in Gaza. And this is that guy right here, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We're just going to call him Benin. But yeah, we've talked about him before on Guarantee News, just with some of the strikes and everything that's going on. Basically, the war in Israel, he was basically the leader of how Israel was handling that war. And he had an Israeli war cabinet, and he just disbanded it on Monday over a disagreement over the direction of the war in Gaza. So the cabinet has been made up of 6 political leaders, including Net, and has been responsible for making most major decisions in regards to how Israel conducts the war in Gaza. And I want to read this. So Netanyahu is now expected to hold ad hoc talks over the war with a smaller group of ministers from his own right-wing Likud party. The ministers likely include Defense Minister, I can't pronounce his name, and Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, the Times of Israel reported. Israeli media reported that the decision to disband the war cabinet was a response to far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's demand to be included in the wake of Gantz and Gadi's Ezekat's resignation last week. The Israel-Hamas war began after the surprise October 7th attack, which killed 1,200 Israelis and resulted in about 250 people being taken hostage. At least 37,000 Palestinians have been killed since then, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, figures that are deemed credible by the U.S. and the UN. I have to read that again. The Israel-Hamas war began after a surprise October 7th attack, which killed 1,200 Israelis and resulted in about 250 people being taken hostage. At least 37,000 Palestinians have been killed since then, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. These numbers that are deemed credible by the U.S. and the United Nations. So the way that the War Cabinet, what did this say? The War Cabinet has been handling the Israel war. Of course, people in America and across the world have been talking about it, but people in Israel and leaders in Israel themselves have been kind of at war within themselves over how they should be handling Hamas. And now they're disbanding one of their war cabinets because I guess it's been seen that they're negatively handling it. At least that's what I'm taking for this. All right, so let's go a little bit more. And that's really all there is to that, I guess. I just wanted to, put this in for you guys to see this because I think this is important news that, even in Israel, the country itself, there is debate and there is problem over how the war is being handled. And now that this has been disbanded, I wonder kind of what Israel's next steps are and if there's going to be any chance of a ceasefire or peace coming out of this anytime soon. So, yeah, I just wanted to do a little episode or a little update on that. Now, for the next story, a huge article came out over the weekend from the LA Times. It's basically talking about how California, they tested for weed. So the Los Angeles Times wrote an article where they're basically testing California weed for pesticides, right? They're testing California weed for pesticides. And I kind of want to go through that a little bit and just see what it's talking about. Bear with me a little bit. Let me find it if I can. Let's see. All right. Let's see if I can find the whole thing. Or I think this is... Let's see. All right, bear with me. And I'm not going to put this, hold on, bear with me while I do this, because I'm not going to put this on the big screen while I do this. Even though, like, anybody, afterwards, you guys are going to be able to see, but fuck it, bear with me. All right. So the LA Times did an article basically about some of the dangers with California weed. Now that weed in California and most of the country is legal, what's interesting is how it's being regulated and tested by the state's government. And the LA Times basically did an article where they tested weed in California. They tested actual flower and they tested carts as well. And they found some crazy things. They found some crazy shit. So I want to just read a little bit about this. The dirty secret of California's legal weed. An LA Times Weed Week investigation finds alarming levels of pesticides and cannabis products at dispensaries across the state. And let's see. So investigation by the Times. And let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Let's see. All right. And an investigation by the Times in conjunction with cannabis industry newsletter Weed Week found alarming levels of pesticides and cannabis products available on dispensary shelves across the state, including some of the most popular brands of vapes and pre-rolled weed. 25 of 42 legal cannabis products that the Times and Weed Week purchased from retail stores and not tested at private labs showed concentrations of pesticides either above levels the state allows or at levels that exceed federal standards for tobacco. The contaminants include chemicals tied to cancer, liver failure, thyroid disease, and genetic and neurologic harm to users and unborn children. Most of the pesticides found were in low concentrations that risk long-term health by repeated use through the extent of health threat by though the extent of the health threat may not be known for years. Vapes tested from 5 well-known brands had pesticide loads that exceeded federal Environmental Protection Agency risk thresholds for harm from a single exposure. Let me read that again because that was a lot. Vapes tested from 5 well-known brands had pesticide loads that exceeded federal Environmental Protection Agency risk thresholds for harm from a single exposure. The Times and Weed Week found users might experience irritation to the lungs, eyes, and throat, as well as a rash, headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. So they basically did this study. I can say right now they found weed from Backpack Boys. If you guys hadn't heard of that, Backpack Boys. They found pesticides in Backpack Boys, which is a very popular brand. If you are familiar with carts, flour at all, you've heard of Backpack Boys. They tested their carts and flour and found pesticides. They tested Stizzy, which is another popular brand. They do the carts. They found pesticides in their carts. Specifically, I screenshotted a part of the article because the article is long as hell. Go and read it if you're interested in that stuff. I just want to talk about the big things. A pink acai vape from Stizzy. Let's look it up. Pink acai Stizzy. They said the pink acai vapes had them. And let's see, Culture Cure, I think it was. Maybe not. Maybe not. So Backpack Boys, Stizzy for sure, 2 brands that they found that had pesticides in them. And another thing is I want to go through. So this is kind of smaller sections of the article that I think are kind of cool. This one is, let's see, how they tested it. How we tested for pesticides. So let's go through this a little bit. California currently performs no independent checks on pesticide levels in cannabis sold to consumers or the accuracy of private pesticide tests certifying cannabis for sale. To see where that leaves consumers, the Times and Weed Week undertook their own test. Reporters brought products from licensed dispensaries across the state, 2 licensed cannabis testing labs, Resco Laboratories in San Francisco and SC Labs in Santa Cruz agreed to screen the samples for an expanded list of pesticides. Samples were selected for a variety of reasons: sales promotions, unusually high potency levels, or they were named in complaints to regulators. Testing also focused on vapes which, because of their concentrated oils, can pose a greater health threat to consumers, right? So basically they're saying that California, the state, has basically low regulations for the testing of pesticides. They don't really do it, so they took it amongst their own selves to basically test California weeds, popular California weed brands for pesticides in private laboratories in LA or in all of California. Reporters removed packaging and obscured labels so labs did not know the products being tested. Of course, in many cases, both labs tested the same product and other products were retested. In total, 66 tests were run to check for more than 100 pesticides, well beyond California's required screening of 66 chemicals. It is possible that other pesticides are present. Results from a state agriculture lab conducting tests for regulators showed 16 additional pesticides that Resco and SC Labs were not set up to measure. Additional test results were provided to the LA Times by Resco by a third lab, Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs in San Diego, which had sent those results to state regulators. In these cases, the lab selected which products to test. All right, so that kind of just goes over how they did the testing. And I did this so you guys could basically trust the testing more. When good weed goes bad. And this goes into how they're putting pesticides into good weed. And by doing that, it's fucking it up for the people who are growing weed the right way. But basically, let's go through this a little bit. A Los Angeles Times investigation found poisons in some of California's weed products deemed to be safe. The chemicals used to control pest and mold can make their way into cannabis products at several points in the growing process, and many are concentrated in the manufacture of oils for vaping. Legal weed is required to be screened for many of these poisons, but they still show up in the market. And this kind of goes through the weed plant and how through that process of basically making the shit smokable, how pesticides can be put into it. And it's basically done to keep out pest invasion, contamination, just for, predatory insects, natural oils, and chemicals made by bacteria. No pesticides are federally approved for cannabis, and California restricts what can be used. Weed tests show growers using prohibited pesticides, including smoke fumigants, bug bombs, and growth hormones. Plants also could be contaminated for pesticides in the soil, air, including drift from nearby farms. So this is basically going through how these major California brands are using different pesticides and putting them in the weed. Pesticides for the actual flower to keep away bugs and shit like that, and just stuff that can go wrong with it just from nature. And then it's also pesticides that make the plants grow faster, make them last longer. So this is basically a very fucked up thing. And when you go through this article, it basically says how for years people and organizations have been trying to get California to like add certain pesticides to their testing kit list. They won't do it. They're asking California to be more strict federally on, testing for the pesticides and making sure that these major companies are being held to a standard of weed that is, safe for human consumption. And, when you see an article like this that's basically saying that, hey, there's hella pesticides being found in the most popular weeds in California, it makes you think of a bunch of conspiracy theories of, why California as a state federally isn't making these brands test their weed better. I'm not going to go into some of these conspiracy theories. You can think of them, but, marijuana is a thing that's mostly done by the black community, or that is for a long time was synonymous with like black people doing weed all the time. There was stuff in this article that says that, the weed or some of the pesticides that are in this can be found to, and let me go back of it, but some of the pesticides in it can be found to do things like take away sperm count. They can cause cancers, things like that. When you read something like this, if your mind is like mine, you can think of a bunch of conspiracy theories. And then another thing of me that is maybe a little less insidious is that it's just laziness and that they just don't care. But I will, just from saying this, if you're from California, stop smoking Backpack Boys, stop smoking Culture Cure or whatever it's called, and stop smoking Stizzy, A. B, I would also say, like, no matter where you are, if you're in a state where weed is legal, you can question now, is it safer to get weed from the dispensary, or is it safer to get weed from your plug up the street? Because it's that thing where it's like the people who are growing it, it may not be the gas or it may not be as pressure, but it's not going to have pesticides in it because it was grown in a place where It's kind of similar to food where they say, like, if where it's healthier and it's safer to get your food from local farms, and it's probably the same for your weed, obviously. But this really shouldn't be surprising to anyone. I guess that's all I want to say with that is just shit. Look out for where your weed's coming from, especially if you're from California. But this is just a scary ass thing. And I want to get in, who is this article written by? Because this is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's real journalism. It's a lot of studying. It's months. So I definitely want to give credit to the people who wrote this. So this is by Paige St. John and Alex Hopperin. So yeah, dirty secret of California weed. Scary. If you're a weed smoker out there, you should be safe about where you get your weed, especially if it's from weed in a legal place and you're getting it from a dispensary. So let's move on into our next story. And this is going to be our first sports story, so bear with me a little bit. And this is for a WNBA game that happened over the weekend. All right. So the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever played for the second time this year, and we officially, it looks like, have a rivalry. So the Fever beat the Sky 91-83. Very competitive game. Was competitive down to the fourth quarter. A lot of Sky players played well, and a lot of Fever players played well. But what would a Caitlin Clark be without drama? So we're going to get into that a little bit, but let's just look at the stats first a little bit. Let me move my screen a little bit. I keep saying a little bit. I feel for some reason this stream I'm not doing good. I'm going to keep going. But I just had to say that. Like, I feel like maybe a little unprepared, maybe a little nervous. I don't know. But yeah, let's continue talking about this Sky Fever game. All right, Angel Reese, 11 points, 13 rebounds. Let's see, one block, two steals. She had a double double. Statistically, a good game. Camila Cardoso, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. Another good game. We're not gonna talk about any Melodia Sky. Now, Asia Smith, 15 points. Let's see, 15 points, 2 blocks, 0 steals, 2 assists, 28 minutes. She had a really good game. Aaliyah Boston has been turning up the last 5 games. She's had 4 or 5 double-doubles. She had another one. Caitlin Clark, 23 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. Almost had a triple-double. Almost had a double-double for sure, but could have got to the triple-double. So statistically, this is a great game for the Fever. The Fever are, if the playoffs were to start now, the Fever would be in the playoffs. Now they're playing less games. They're getting to get used to each other more. We're 5-10, so as a team, the Fever is starting to look better. Caitlin Clark is starting to look better, and it's starting to make a lot more sense. Now, this game had its little bit of drama in it, which it seems like every Caitlin Clark game has a little bit of drama with it now. So I'm going to just play a couple videos from the game and then just do a little bit of talking. So basically what happened, I think it was in the third quarter, Caitlin Clark was going up for a free throw, and Angel Reese had a harsh-ass foul on her, and then it started the conversation over, should the foul be called a flagrant? Should Angel Reese be kicked out? Should there be a fine? Blah, blah, blah. Was it a basketball play? Kind of similar to what happened with the other girl on the Sky the first time they played. So first, let me just show the play. But before I show it, let me look at a couple other things. All right. So let's look. So let's watch the fouls. Let's watch the fouls, and let's look at a couple other things. So let me see. And let's put this. Bear with me. All right, let's go. All right, let's watch it.
Clark, hammer. 3 Sky players coming over. At the top, the official is pointing to his head here, and I think they're going to look at this. To review it. The foul, I believe, to Angel Reese. Yep, across the head.
All right. When I first saw it, I was like, maybe this is a basketball play. It doesn't look this bad. This should definitely be a flagrant, but I'm not going to say she did this on purpose. I wasn't that shitty about it. Then, and that's from the first angle. Then they replayed it and showed this angle, and I was mad again. Well, I got mad. I was like, okay, she's fucking up. This is definitely got to be a flagrant. This is fried. This is fried. I got mad from this angle. Then I kept watching it, and I can say this. It's definitely a hard foul, but I feel like she's going for the ball. I don't think it was purposeful. When you look right here, though, because when you look at this angle, her hand is right there. I can see, she's trying to get to the ball. From the angle right here, I can see how this is a play where she's trying to block. She raises, and then now from here, it looks really bad because her hand is nowhere near the ball. But when you look at the beginning of this shit, from just how close her hand is to the ball right here.
Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor.
I'm going to say I don't think she meant to do that on purpose. It should definitely be a flagrant foul because a flagrant foul isn't based off of your intention. She hit the fucking shit out of her. It's a flagrant foul, but I'm not going to say this wasn't like what old girl did, what the other girl did. That looks like she bites people. That was purposeful. This was just a harsh foul.
To review this one.
Now, after the foul, so foul happened. A thing that was interesting with this is all the Fever play or all the Sky player were shitty as hell. They look like they can't understand how that's a flagrant foul. They look like they're ready to argue with it, right? Okay. So game goes on, Fever win. Then afterwards, you have the media availability. And of course, both players, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, are asked about it. And again, keep in mind, this is my honest opinion. When I'm looking at the play, I don't think Angel Reese meant to foul her on purpose. It was a hard foul. It's a basketball play. It is what it is. because of everything that's been going on the last few weeks, me, myself included, a lot of people want to be mad and say it looks purposeful. But looking at that game, watching the game, looking at the play, I want to say that it's a flagrant foul, yes, but not a purposeful foul. Now let's look at what both players say after the game. Let's look at Caitlin Clark first. Or actually, let's look at Angel Reese first. I did a little sketch right there. Let's look at Angel Reese first. Let's watch this. And let me make my screen a little bit bigger smaller before I put it back. All right, let's go.
For inside, I mean, I think we were playing really hard. I think we went up really strong a lot of times, and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle, but just being able to for inside, I mean, I think we were playing really hard. I think we went up really strong a lot of times, and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle, but just being able to for inside.
You can think what you think about that. Some people, I think the big quote of that is some people get a special whistle. And I think that's a lot of the argument that people have been making against the NBA is you guys need to be giving Caitlin Clark a special whistle. It doesn't look like they're doing that at all. Then on top of that, that was obviously a foul. When you say special whistle, I hope she's not even at all talking about the foul she did on Caitlin Clark, because that's obviously a foul. But let's look at Caitlin Clark's. Let's look at her response afterwards. When she's asked about it.
And then when you get flagrant foul by Angel Reese, what's going through your mind, and how you just stay within yourself to finish the game?
What's going through my mind is I need to make these 2 free throws. That's all I'm thinking about. It's just part of basketball. It is what it is. Just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. But yeah, I mean, it happens. And those free throws, when you have to shoot them with nobody at the line, are kind of hard. So it's a little different than having people at the line. So I was just trying to focus on making those.
Look at the difference. Not talking. And this is the thing with this is the conversation that I want to bring up. Because lately, even on my show, there's been the conversation on the WNBA is treating Caitlin Clark fairly and that they're being more aggressive with her. And now after just watching more WNBA games, listening to interviews, listening to people talk, I'm going to come to the conclusion that the WNBA is a very aggressive league. It's a lot of contact. That's a part of the sport. There's nothing odd or weird going on with how Caitlin Clark is being handled. It just looks a lot worse because there's a lot of eyes on it and a lot of people haven't seen it before, right? I'm ready to believe that a lot of the media, me and myself included, were stretching the argument about how the league as itself is treating Caitlin Clark. Now, with that being said, when you have Angel Reese, where it seems like she just does not like Caitlin Clark, and every opportunity she gets, she throws shit at Caitlin Clark, it makes the argument for the WNBA worse. Angel Reese I'm thinking about it. Angel Reese might be the one making it look bad because she is hating so obvious. So I guess I'll say with her, she's the one that's clearly hating on Caitlin Clark. You can see it from the video with the 2 clips. She's saying, oh, special whistle, all this, when you clearly foul the shit out of her. And then you see Caitlin Clark, and her whole thing always is, I'm trying to worry about making these free throws. I'm trying to worry about winning the game. I don't want to talk about drama. I don't want to talk about any bullshit. Caitlin Clark, you can tell, is just genuine and a dog, and she wants to just play basketball. And then Angel Reese, it seems like she wants to just add attention away from her game, where Caitlin Clark wants to put it to her game right, wants just the focus to be on her ability to play basketball, and it almost looks like she doesn't want the focus to be about her at all. But I will say, like, Angel Reese is a humongous hater, and if you aren't saying that and you can't see that clearly, obviously, then you're just being biased. This is just another clear snapshot of that. You clearly foul the shit out of her. It's a flagrant. In the game, the whole team looks like, how could they call that flagrant? That's not a flagrant. In the game, the team looks shitty. She looks shitty. Then after the game in the press conference, Angel Reese is sitting down saying, I guess people are getting special whistles. You clearly hit the shit out of her. And then you have Caitlin Clark right here saying, I'm just worried about making the free throws. I'm just worried about winning. This is a part of basketball. It's a very physical game, and this is what's going to happen. And when you see the way that they're handling it differently, this is why I think a lot of people were mad at the WNBA at first, when probably you should have not even been mad or just frustrated, when you probably should be more frustrated at Angel Reese. Now, I will say this. While I don't think the WNBA has been doing anything to like be more aggressive to Caitlin Clark, or the league has been more aggressive, because the league has always been competitive and aggressive, and I do believe that. I will say the WNBA as a business has been handling Caitlin Clark wrong, and there's a lot of money, there's a lot of eyes, there's a lot of things that they could be doing to capitalize more off of Caitlin Clark business-wise. I don't think they're doing, but that's a whole nother story. But I'll say the league as a whole, the competitiveness, competitiveness of it. Damn, I couldn't get that out. The competitiveness of the league with Caitlin Clark is something that I think is probably normal. The business of it, there probably have been bad business-wise for years. We're just seeing more of Caitlin Clark. But Angel Reese, I will say, she is an absolute hater, and I don't think there's anything that can be done to run from that fact. But Caitlin Clark is continuing to do better. We beat this guy 2 times, and now that we don't have to play, the Fever don't have to play every single day, we're starting to win games, and it's starting to make a lot more sense. So you have to fucking love it. You have to love it. And I will say the WNBA is entertaining, actually. There's shit where it's like they're miss free throws, or they're miss not free throws, they're miss like easy layups or smoke layups and shit like that, where I'm like, what's going on? What the fuck? But it is interesting. Past Caitlin Clark, there's a lot with the WNBA to enjoy. So I will say that. And let's see. Last thing I want to get with Swiss sports is, let's see. Game 5 of the NBA Finals starts tonight. The Dallas Mavericks, Boston Celtics. Last game, the Mavericks beat them by like 30-something points. It's starting just right now. I'm going to say I do not know. I'm done. I don't watch enough basketball. The games have been too crazy. I cannot give any guesses on what this game is what's going to happen. It's all going to be about how Luka and Kyrie play, and how the role players of the Mavericks do. But yeah, I'm going to say I hope the Mavericks win. I want the Mavericks to win. I have no idea what's about to happen. The Boston Celtics could definitely win. The Mavericks could definitely win. All I'm here to say is shit. I hope the Mavericks win. That's all I got. All right, that is all for sports. Let's get into... All right. Let's do... All right. So... Okay. Bear with me one moment. All right, sorry about that. So, yesterday, season 2 of House and Dragons came out, where it started with episode 1. Most of the first episode was basically just dealing with the backlash of Beer. There's so many characters in House of Dragon, and the name of all of them is so hard. So, bear with me. All right, let's see. So, episode 1 of season 2 of House of Dragons premiered last night, June 16th on a Sunday. Basically, the whole first episode was basically just both sides, the blacks and the greens, dealing with the immediate repercussions of Lucerys' death, of Lucerys being killed by Aemon at the end of season 1. Now, if you're not a House of Dragon fan, I'm sorry, with all the characters, it's going to be hard for you. But let's see. So, Lucerys and Aemon. So, most of episode 1 of season 2 is basically just dealing with the downfall of the death of Lucerys, who was killed by Aemon. Aemon's dragon killed Lucerys and his dragon in the final episode of season 1. And now in season 2, episode 1, you're basically seeing how everybody is dealing with that death. So there's so much that happens with this episode. I guess I kind of want to figure out where I want to start with this. I guess I could just go to the Variety article that I read, or that I have for this, and it does a pretty good job. So let's see. I'm so not used to covering a news story is something that I'm very comfortable with. Covering doing a show review, I don't know if I should just let myself yap or how I should do this. Shit. All right, guys. I'm just going to start with this. Bear with me. This might not be the best. I'm going to just talk my ass off for a little bit. It's 40 minutes. I'm going to give myself 15 minutes to talk about this. All right. Why House of Dragons Season 2 premiere, kill it off, spoiler, and blood and cheese scene. And how. All right. So basically the main thing that happens, or the biggest thing, is the last scene of the show. And I'm going to get into that because it's supposedly different from the book. If you if you read the books, you probably think that the way they did it in the show is a little bit underwhelming. And then some of the people that I watched the episode with, they felt like it wasn't that good. To me personally, I thought how it ended was, I thought it was pretty crazy. My mouth was wide open, pause, and I was entertained by it. Now, throughout the episode, there was kind of some boring parts. I'm going to give the episode a 3.8/4.0 out of 5. 3.8/4.0 out of 5. Very good. It still felt like it was setting up the war, but the setup was really good. It continued to be good, and a fucking lot of shit happened. Let me go through my notes. I'm just going to go through the notes I wrote. So first, I guess I should just go through all of the characters and what you see through them. So Aegon Targaryen, House of Dragons. So let's start off with Aegon. And let me see him. Yeah. So let's start off with Aegon. In the first episode, we basically see him getting used to being king, and his first we see him basically being king, right? And I was surprised by that because in the first episode, it seems like he wants to be nice as king. In the scene where he's talking to the common folk, he's trying to give them shit. He's trying to be nice to them. He's trying to, I think one of them asked for their cattle back. He wants to give the cattle back. One of them is asking for some of the cattle that was taken for him to be, same thing. He's trying to work for the small townspeople. He's not a Joffrey Baratheon. I'm yapping too much. He's not a complete maniac. I think he's just stupid, young, doesn't know how to be king, and he is evil and violent, which I think is just part of the Targaryen rich gene. He does have that violence and that evilness to him, but he doesn't seem like he wants to be violent and evil just for fun. He wants to help the good people, and he wants to help the small folk, and I think he wants to be seen as a good king, and a king that's not lazy, right? But you do see the propensity for him to be evil when the scene where his son, when they're in the small council meeting with his son, and he's letting his son basically run around and shit and fuck with people, and one of the people in the small council meeting is hey, get your son, he's fucking with me, and Aegon is you want me to get my son? Why don't I let my son ride you like a fucking pony? Or why don't I let my son fuck with you? My son will, don't do too much. You saw it there, kind of that evilness, right? So I think that was interesting with me. And another thing that I think is foreshadowing as well, or kind of showing his character, is that Aegon, right off into the scene, and the first time we see the Greens is he's looking for his son. He's trying to bring him to the meeting. He wants to be a good dad. And then, spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, his fucking son gets killed. So I think that's another interesting thing, is that you see Aegon as this character that has the ability to be evil and mean, but he wants to be nice with helping the small folk. He wants to be a good father with having his son be in the fucking meetings and talking to his son and just wanting to be around with him. While it does seem like they're both children, it's he wants to be children together, which is something you could maybe respect. But you also know that he has the ability to be evil, and I think now, after what happened to his son and the way that he was killed, we're gonna see no more of nice Aegon, and he's gonna turn into a Joffrey or Robert Baratheon type of just sinister evil, just doing dirty shit. Anybody that comes and gets in his way, he's gonna fuck them up. Okay, let's get into Rhaenyra's character. I mean, Rhaenyra, there's not much really to say with her with episode 1, right? She only had one scene, or one one line in the whole entire scene where she was like, I want Aemon, right? So basically the whole first episode, Rhaenyra is basically trying to find proof that Lucerys is dead, right? And you're seeing her deal with that pain, mainly just through, her facial expressions, how dirty she looks. You can tell she's been flying on dragonback for days. And then there's the scene where she finds kind of the wing of Lucerys's dragon, and then you also see she finds some of Lucerys's like clothes, and that's when she pretty much comes to terms with, okay, I know she's dead, or I know he's dead. I can start that grieving process. And that's when she goes back. I can forget where they're at right now. I think like Harrenhal or wherever. But that's where she goes back, and she gets back together with the rest of the blacks, with Daemon, with what's her name? The other girl, I can't think of her name, but they get back together and she basically starts to be queen again. But there's really not much you can say off of the first episode, but just feel bad for her. You can understand how she says, I want Aemon. I think basically what we're going to see is now just the next couple of episodes is just how she's going to deal with this and see her being a queen. But from the first episode, you didn't really see much of her. There's not much to think of. There's not much to make of. I mean, of course, she's going to want to see some proof of her son being dead. And of course, she's going to be fucking pissed and she's going to want a son for a son, which the episode. Let's see. Otto. Same snake as usual, bro. You see him when Aegon is trying to be a good king in the scene where I was talking about. He's telling Aegon, you can't watch out for the small folk. You have to do all these things, which a part of the advice he was giving was true, but he was also still being a snake, still being a bitch. The conversation, again, where he was getting in Aegon's head, trying to do that puppet master shit the scene where he's asking Aegon, like, what type of king do you want to be? You don't want to be seen as your father as weak. You want to be seen as a king that makes decisions. So he's the same as usual. A bitch. Manipulator. Not a good character. Don't like him at all. Then let's get into Alicent and Sir Christian, which, I could go on for a while about them, bro. How fucking trash they are. I'm gonna wait a little bit. Let me take a little pause and see if there's anything that I want to show. Let's see. Nothing. Let's see. All right, bear with me. Bear with me for a second. Bear with me. If I can just find like something I can like put it on. Dang. My bad, y'all. So, I guess I'll just do it this way. You know what? Never mind. Let me turn. Yeah, the microphone, but say it's still been on. Alicent. And Sir Christian Cole. These two fuckers right here. Spoiler alert, the first time you see them in the show, Alicent is eating her box. And now you see that they have a fucking relationship together. And one of the main things that started this war that made Alicent's hating ass not like Rhaenyra, and Sir Christian Cole's old whore, slut, lame ass switch sides to go and be with fucking Alicent's side is the fact that Rhaenyra had sex with him. Everybody was mad about this. That's what Alicent was really mad about. Saying that she's not doing her duty, that she is not a good person, she's not fit to be queen, judging her, and now you're having sex with him all these years later. And the fucked up thing about it is your son just killed her son. You're over here fucking the person that is the head of the Night's Watch that's supposed to be protecting everybody. More on that later. You're fucking him. Mad at Rhaenyra for doing it, and damn near partly started this war over doing it. And you're fucking. There's just so much with Allison. These two are some of the like most annoying characters in a show I've seen in a while. Allison, let's get to her. Manipulator, jealous, hater, fucking stupid. Sir Christian Cole, whore, pussy whipped, lame, vindictive, holds a grudge. Something's wrong with him. He's terrible at his job. He fucking sucks. These two characters, the fact that they're sleeping together, I honestly didn't think that would happen because I didn't think Allison would give it to him. So Christian Cole is the type of lame ass, he's going to take it. For some reason, I didn't think Allison would give it to him. I thought she would kind of be like, yeah, I don't fuck with you. You fucked Rhaenyra, all this and that. And the way she was judging Rhaenyra for doing it, I just didn't think it would happen. Yeah, seeing that definitely did surprise me. And I think both of these characters for the rest of the season are going to feel like shit because of how the episode ended. Now I've gotten into the characters, right, that I thought about. Now let's get into basically the last scene of the show, which was basically what everyone's talking about. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are kind of about it. I liked it. I guess I'm kind of about it. But basically, it's like cheese and blood and cheese, the people that Daemon. So basically when let me calm myself down. Basically when Rhaenyra comes back from seeing the proof that her son's dead, she comes in and she's like, hey, I want Aemon. I want a body for a body, a son for a son. Daemon's like, okay, bet, we're gonna get you your body. He has basically the two people, just two random people, he pays them to sneak into the Red Keep type shit and kill Aemon, and they aren't able to find Aemon, spoiler, and they end up killing Aegon's son. I can't think of his name. Let's see. It says it here. Yeah, Jaehaerys, and they end up killing Jaehaerys. Let me first play a clip from the show that I thought was fucking awesome. Because of just the foreshadowing of what it shows for the rest of the episode. Let me do this real quick. Let's see. Really good scene. As soon as I'll show the scene first.
Where is Jaehaerys?
Like this episode had hella foreshadowing right there. Him even just walking, Aegon looking in and looking at him like who's who. That's fucking foreshadowing.
Where is Jaehaerys?
Foreshadowing right there.
Attending his lessons.
And those aware?
What do you need of him?
Taken into the small council. He'll be king one day. He must begin his instruction.
What if he does not want to be king?
Where is he?
The library. You must not interrupt his custom. I'm afraid.
Right here.
Don't be. They'd be fools to come with Vhagar protecting the city.
Not the dragons. The rats.
The Queen.
When I saw this, I knew it was foreshadowing, right? I knew there was going to be basically some rats, some people that are snitching, some people are telling information to the other side, but I thought it was going to be something that was going to show itself or manifest kind of later in the season. Obviously, if you read the book, you probably knew what was happening immediately. But then this is the first part of them, like, I'm scared of the rats, right? Then throughout the episode, you're kind of following the rat catcher, the guy that, I think his name would be Cheese. You're following the rat catcher, you're seeing rats throughout the thing, and then the episode ends with just that crazy-ass scene with Cheese, the rat catcher, and the other guy that used to be a former Night's Watch sneaking through the Red Wedding, and then they find, I can't think of her name right now. What is her? There's so many characters. Bear with me right now. I have the list right here. Bear with me. What's her name? Helena. With Helena, it basically ends with them not being able to find Eamon, but finding Helena with her children and killing them, right? And a lot of people said they didn't like that scene. I thought it was great. Now, a lot of people said they didn't like it if they read the books because it differs a lot from the books. And I found a video on Twitter that basically reads through how the scene is the books, and it kind of goes to the differences, so I'm going to show you guys that right now too. Bear with me. And I'm cutting this off so, like, when I go to my Twitter, like, you can't see the people that are, like, follow that probably don't want this up. Let me see. All right. So let's read this tweet first. All right, let me make this a little bit bigger. Oh. So it says, Blood and Cheese was horrifying in the books because they made Helena choose which one of her sons should die. She chose the youngest thinking he wouldn't remember by the end of killing, but they ended up killing the eldest Jaehaerys. This was just not as good. So I guess a little bit of the situations of how the son was killed. I can call her back in like 2 seconds. Or in like 20 minutes after I'm done streaming. I'm not about to stop. But basically the situation over how he was killed, where it happened. There was a couple of things that happened in the book that weren't put in the show that made the moment, I guess, not as big. And then let me play this video.
Slithered through the taverns and
so this is basically just the book, literally what happens in the book scene.
Whispers slithered through the taverns and back alleys of Flea Bottom. 2 men were found. One was a former gold cloak, the other a rat catcher in the Red Keep who knew all its secrets. History remembers them only as Blood and Cheese. One night, Queen Helena entered the royal apartments with her daughter and 2 sons to put them to bed. Without warning, Blood and Cheese burst in, daggers in hand. They told her that a debt was owed. Blood and Cheese burst in, daggers in hand. They told her that a debt was owed. A son for a son. Blood and Cheese demanded she choose which son would be ripped from her forever. Queen Helena pleaded with the men to kill her instead, but they refused. Weeping, Helena named her younger son, Maelor. Perhaps she thought the boy was too young to understand. Or perhaps because the older boy was King Aegon's firstborn son and heir. You hear that, little boy? She's whispered to the younger son. Your mama wants you dead. Then Blood struck off the older boy's head with a single blow. When the guards burst in, they found Queen Helena still screaming, clasping her dead son's body to her, mad with grief.
So basically, well, yeah, you guys see it. There's another son that they have that's in the book that's not in the show. So that kind of makes it a little bit different. Then in the book, why does it do that? Then in the book, I guess, let me see. Then in the book, I guess, it doesn't happen in Rhaenyra's room. The death, like the killing and everything happens in Alicent's room. They tie Alicent up out and they wait for, Rhaenyra to come in with Alicent, or to come in with the kids to tell Alicent goodnight, and then they kind of bum rush her and they do it all right there. Whereas in the show, they kind of just sneak in on Rhaenyra while she's telling the kids goodnight, and then, the whole scene plays out, right? And then the final thing that happens is why Blood and Cheese are literally killing the Jaehaerys, Aegon's son, literally cutting off his head. You can hear him cutting off the head. You can see the scene of Rhaenyra running with her other kid with the daughter running to who? Her fucking mom. And what's her mom doing in the final scene of the show? Having sex with Christian Cole. While Christian Cole, the head of the Night's Watch. So while he should be watching the castle and making sure the royalty is safe, he's having sex with the queen. And Rhaenyra is running through the halls of the Red Keep, her baby son's head getting cut off, and she runs in on her mom having sex with the leader of the Night's Watch, and she's stunned, and she's just holding the baby, and she says, they killed the boy. I thought it was pretty fucking fire. A lot of people, even the people I was with, seemed like they weren't really feeling it like that. That scene alone, the tension was building up in it. I could feel it. The way that it was filmed, I thought it was a really good scene. I thought it was a great way to end it, and I thought it completely shows the stakes of how Aegon's going to act. I'm interested to see on how Rhaenyra's going to act, because that's not what she asked for. She said, I want Aemon, a son for a son. Daemon told them niggas, a son for a son, an eye for an eye, and them niggas killed, just said, oh, we can't find Aemon. This little nigga will work. That's not even Alicent's son. So I'm also interested in how Rhaenyra's going to handle this. But all in all, like, people saying they didn't like the scene, I fucked with it. I thought it was a good scene. I thought it was a good ending. The episode was kind of lackluster, but that's because, like, I think you can still see that they're setting shit up. And then with this Variety article, there was a couple of things I wanted to read based off, like, what happened. Let me see. And it's basically it has, like, interviews from the showrunner, Ryan Condal, I think is his name. This guy. He's basically, let me move my camera. He's basically the showrunner of House of Dragon, and Variety did an article, and he basically is talking about some of the decisions of how he made, like, the death of Jaehaerys, some of the decisions of why he made that different, some of the things that are going to happen with the season, some of the character influences. So let's read this, let's go through a couple things with this Variety article. I'm not going to go through all of it. Let's go through the first couple paragraphs. So, after closing season 1 with the swift and shocking death of a child, Rhaenyra Targaryen's son, Lucerys Velaryon, opened its second season with a series of grief-driven choices and insidious plans that lead to the most gruesome murder of another child, Jaehaerys Targaryen, the grandson of Alicent Hightower. We talked about that. So, let's see. The entire blood and cheese death sequence differs in multiple ways from the heinous act committed in the book Fire and Blood, the Game of Thrones universe book, that the fictional history of the Targaryen family and serves as the source material for House of the Dragon. So this goes into kind of the differences again. In the book, let's see. There's a lot of things. We're not going to go through that. Let's see. I just want to get to the part. Okay. Then there is a significant difference about where the murder takes place, with Alicent not witnessing the death of her grandchild and instead being in bed with Christian Cole when he is slaughtered. It adds a level of shame and guilt that is different to anything that Alicent has ever experienced before, by being indisposed with the head of the Kingsguard, who should have been on duty to make sure that the castle was unlocked. Cook says that's a theme that plays throughout the season. If they hadn't embarked on this affair, would this have happened? They hold themselves accountable completely. So basically, they're basically saying that because they're in bed having sex together while this fucking thing happens, Alicent and Christian Cole basically feel like shit for the rest of the season, and they're basically asking themselves, hey, if we hadn't been fucking sleeping together, maybe our grandkid, or not our grandkid, Alicent would be like, maybe my grandkid wouldn't be fucking dead. And then Christian Cole spent all of season 1 not wanting to be a whore for Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra asked her, hey, we can be together. You just got to be quiet about it. No, I don't want to be quiet about it. I don't want to do it. No. I signed this oath. I did this oath to be a part of the Night's Watch, and that's my fucking job. And then years down the line, not only are you having sex when you shouldn't be having sex with the queen, and you're being her whore undercover and going in secret with people, and you're letting people die on your watch. So basically they're saying that because they were in bed having sex together, it makes them feel bad for the rest of the season, and it kind of does like a character shit for Allison and Sir Christian Cole, which is something that I think is a good difference from the book, even though I haven't read the book. And I like how kind of like them sleeping together, you show the shame in that immediately, because as fans, you're gonna have shame in that, like for sure, because we hate them. But then you see the shame that they're gonna have for themselves. So I think that's a good move. But all in all, the episode, I think, was a great episode for episode 1. And I think it's going to have everybody wanting to go back to episode 2. I'm interested to see what the fucking, I'm interested to see what the talk about it is going to be, or what the views are going to be. But yeah, I give the episode a 3.8 out of 5 / 4 out of 5. House of Dragon, season 2, episode 1. That's my review. All right. That is guaranteed news. All right, that is guaranteed news on a Monday. If you watched second, hour, minute, I appreciate you. Thank you. It means the most to me. It means the world to me. I'm just gonna keep working on being consistent. Keep working on being better. Working on being focused. Like, subscribe. Follow me on GS Studios, GSTEWDIOS on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's it. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your guys' day. See you guys on Tuesday.